My dream was to become a doctor, but since I can no longer do that, I work in clothing factories to pay for my sister's education so she can become a doctor. It's unbearably hot. They have to work every day in these conditions without being able to go to school, without being able to envision a future, a different dream than this. They work without any kind of protection, barefoot, immersed in this extremely toxic liquid. I work there until 10 p.m. Often I go to bed at 1 or 2 a.m. Mom gets angry because since I started working at the factory, I can't sleep well anymore. They don't want us to get too close here. They keep taking us to this side, so I can already tell you that on the other side there are children working in this facility, on the clothes that reach our stores and that we often wear ourselves. My name is Giuseppe, and I have a mission to travel the world, meet the most extraordinary people on the planet, and ask them a simple question. What is happiness to you? Welcome to Project Happiness. It's exactly from factories like this one that the shirt you're wearing right now most likely comes from. And the less we paid for it, the higher the human cost has been. Because, as you can see, the workers around me are mostly children. The goal of this mission here in Dhaka, the capital of Bangladesh, is to discover who makes the clothes that often end up in the West, understand in what conditions they work, and find out how I can help these children. But let's take a step back. Once upon a time, fashion was synonymous with exclusivity and luxury. But at the end of the 20th century, a combination of technological innovation, cultural changes, and globalization upended everything. Clothing production became a frantic race toward speed and economic efficiency. Companies literally started flooding the market with new garments, generating faster and faster trends, followed by more and more people wanting to dress in the latest fashion to express who they are or who they want to be. Thus, fast fashion was born. It was precisely at this point that one country in particular promised to satisfy the Western demand for trendy and cheap clothes, Bangladesh. To meet a massive global demand for clothing, Bangladesh concentrated nearly all of its productive efforts on the textile industry, but at too high a price, paid only by the workers, women, men, and children who have now become the new slaves of the 21st century. And the environment? Poisoned by chemical waste released by unscrupulous industries, slowly killing the land and water. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. Our journey to the origins of fast fashion begins right here in front of the Buriganga riverbed, or what remains of it. Today, it has become one of the most polluted and toxic rivers in the world precisely because of fast fashion. Just think. The Bangladeshi government estimates that every day about 21,000 cubic meters of untreated industrial wastewater are released into its waters. As a result, the residents of the slums suffer from severe skin diseases, intestinal diseases, and respiratory diseases due to this devastating pollution. The city of Dhaka has more than 5,000 slums inhabited by around 4 million people. The impact of textile industry pollution on their lives is catastrophic. Everyone here is very curious to see me inside this community. We're in Korail Basti, one of the largest slums in the entire country. In reality, there are many like this because from the 1990s to the 2000s, the city of Dhaka transformed, or rather, deformed. Slums were born, shantytowns were built for workers. Millions of people poured into the city to respond to the increasing demand for clothes that the West demanded, that is, fast fashion. These workers now live in dilapidated houses like these tin huts where safety and sanitation are truly a mirage. It's not difficult to find factories in the slum, they are everywhere. But there is one particular area, the tanneries, which holds the sad record of being among the most toxic places on the planet. Here they process leather that will be exported to various European countries, especially Italy. It is estimated that tanneries like these release about 6,000 cubic meters of toxic substances and 10 tons of solid waste into the city's groundwater every day. These are all workers who labor without any kind of protection, barefoot, immersed in extremely toxic liquids. This comes from the washing machines behind me filled with raw leather. For 24 hours, they are run with lime powder and sodium sulfite to soften the leather and prepare it for the next stage, the final step before selling. Except this process is incredibly toxic. We've only been here for half an hour and already I feel like I can't breathe, like I have a headache. I don't think I'm just being influenced because these people get sick very easily, very quickly. This is one of the most extreme, inhumane working conditions I've ever seen. And to think that these people have grown up here. They've always worked here. The more powder we put in, the more color the leather takes on. This way, a better product comes out to sell. Exactly. If you put in less, the color is less visible. Even if I don't want to, I have to do it to survive. I own nothing. That's why I am forced to work. I have a family to feed. We need to live. Where else could I earn money if not here? These workers, and the children I wasn't allowed to film, are destined to die before the age of 50 due to prolonged exposure to harmful chemical agents. For what? To produce a jacket or a pair of shoes that will then be sold for a few euros to people who don't really need them. One of the managers is taking us upstairs where the leather we just saw is processed to become elegant shoes. And even here there are many child workers. There is one very young boy right behind me, in a blue shirt. He must be 7 or 8 years old. They are preferred over adult men because they have slimmer hands, are more precise, and of course they cost less. The man tells me that the shoe this child is gluing will become a loafer sold in Italy as made in Italy and handmade. Handmade, yes, but by this child. Made in Bangladesh, using child labor that violates every human right. And the glue this child is using? It's not only used to assemble shoes, but outside this factory it's also used as a narcotic, mainly by street children. Workers steal it and sell it to others who sniff it like a drug. It causes irreversible brain damage, but in these places, reality is often harsher than words. Just as we left the factory where that child was gluing shoes, we saw another child right in front of us sniffing the same glue. What I would do for some rice. My throat hurts. I long for some rice. I just want some rice. 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 The glue, with its fleeting promise of relief, is only a symptom of a much bigger problem. It's the symbol of a system that treats children as expendable pawns in the game of profit. I managed to enter one of the thousands of factories in Old Dhaka, the old part of the capital. The conditions are the same, extreme. Dozens of children are employed, mostly in shirt production. In this factory, there are 10-year-olds working on the floor. This is another room. Here, too, most of the workers are children. What surprises me is that they are mostly boys. Typically, more girls are employed in textile production because they are considered more precise and patient. But in this factory, I was told that the girls later come in to finish removing all the excess threads. I'll also show you the bathrooms, as Salamu Alaikum. The boys are washing up, so I'll leave them alone. But I was explaining to them that after a long shift, the best moment is taking a shower, because it must be 40 degrees in here. Maybe you can also see the sweat on my face, and I've only been here for half an hour. They work here every day in these conditions. I believe even you would never have imagined that the clothes we wear are produced in such a way. But what we've seen so far is just a small fragment of the fast fashion business in this country. Because to meet our compulsive shopping habits and produce garments designed to be cheap and disposable, Bangladesh has built nearly 5,000 megafactories like this, where millions of people, mostly women and children, work in unison, almost becoming part of the sewing machines themselves. These factories are usually off limits to cameras, especially after the Rana Plaza tragedy on April 24. In 2013, when a complex similar to this one collapsed, killing more than 1,100 textile workers, it was the first time the Western world truly realized the cost of their clothes. After a long interview, however, the managers of this factory decided to let us visit one floor of their building. It was almost a miracle to get into this structure because all the producers, all the textile factory owners, no longer want to let journalists or cameras into their facilities. The story of Rana Plaza drew the world's attention to Bangladesh. However, the situation is far from improved. On the other side of the room, we noticed that children, especially girls, are still working. They don't want us to get too close and keep guiding us to this side of the building, which is the only area we are allowed to document. But I can already tell you that on the other side, children are working in this very structure on clothes that reach our stores and that we often wear ourselves. Most of the workers here are young women from rural areas, some of the poorest parts of the country. They leave their families at a very young age for the lowest wage in the world, 20 cents an hour. But I didn't come all the way here to do another report on fast fashion. The real goal of this mission, in some ways, is more challenging: to find the girls and boys working in these factories and listen to their stories. After days of searching, with the help of a woman who works for the community, we managed to meet Jui, a wonderful 12-year-old girl who has been working in the factories for a long time to help her family. Hello. My name is Giuseppe. My name is Jui. We arrived at Jui's house where she invited us to speak with her. She wanted to tell us her story. This is actually a typical house in the slums of Dhaka. As you can see, it's very small. The lady explained to me that Jui lives here with her parents and siblings on that tiny bed. They all sleep together in this small space. Interestingly, they have a refrigerator and they keep food in the house, but it is shared with all the neighbors. This is the kitchen where they cook and store food. You can see there are grates to prevent rats from entering. Another detail that helps me understand the lives of these children better is that the bed is elevated with bricks. This creates a sort of storage space, and in case of floods, ensures they aren't soaked or flooded by water that might enter the house. Clearly, the conditions are precarious. The factory workers in this area live in similar conditions. We are privileged to enter one of these homes and listen to Jui's story because I am sure it will be similar to many other stories of children working in these factories. Jui, this is me. This is my younger sister, and that's my brother. Giuseppe, is this you, Jui? Jui, yes, this is me, Giuseppe. Okay, who lives here with you? Jui, my sister and I stay here, and my parents sleep on the floor.
And where are your parents now?
My mother is at a clothing factory, while my father, I don't know where he is.
Why aren't you at school now?
I had to leave school because my mother was in debt. When I was in 5th grade, I was so happy. I had many friends, and we laughed and played together. But now, that doesn't happen anymore. I miss it a lot. I had to start working because of money problems. My aunt advised me to work to bring home some money. So, they took me to the factory. I earn almost €4 a day. At first, I even liked it. But now I always feel tired because I work all day. I worked for the first 5 months, but now I feel lonely and don't like it. I work until 10 p.m. Often I go to bed at 1 or 2 a.m.
Jui, what is your biggest dream?
If I had been able to continue studying, I could have helped my parents with a good job and become independent. I could have saved my family. It would have been nice if it had gone that way. My dream was to become a doctor, but since I can no longer do that, I work in clothing factories to pay for my sister's education so she can become a doctor.
How can a 12-year-old girl be so resigned and aware that her dreams may never come true? It's not fair. Jui is part of the millions of children whose future is stolen, exploited in factories, a number so large that it almost makes you lose hope that anything can change here. Yet there is someone who, with unwavering commitment, believes that by uniting the generosity of people around the world, we can give these children back the right to be children. In Dhaka, I met with the leaders of the humanitarian organization ActionAid, who, through their sponsorship programs, ensure children like Jui receive the assistance they desperately need. And I'm not just talking about education and medical care, but also crucial emotional support to overcome the scars of exploitation, as happens in this center called Happy Home, a shelter for street children where they can feel safe and transform their stories of suffering into tales of hope and rebirth.
If I hadn't come here, I would certainly be working in a factory now, or working in other people's houses like my mother. I see many poor children begging for food, and this makes me very angry, but I can't do anything about it. I would have ended up like them if it weren't for this place. Here I can eat all my meals, but before it wasn't like that. Here I have my sisters and friends who give me food and make sure I'm well and eat. Before, no one took care of me. This home makes me feel good. I had a terrible past, and I hope so much that other children do not have to suffer the same. I hope they all come to live here to feel as good as I do, and that they can study. I couldn't before, and neither can the children still outside. I have received so much support here that I wish it could reach them too.
Before leaving, Sanjita, one of the leaders of ActionAid in Bangladesh, wanted to give me a unique moment with the children sponsored from afar to realize what it means for them to have a distant friend who loves them unconditionally. What are you drawing, Meme?
It's a house.
And this?
This is my friend who helps me from afar.
And who is this?
This is me,
And this one?
my younger sister.
What are you doing?
We are drawing.
Drawing? Okay.
You know, this is not just a drawing. This is trust. This is a bond between her and her friend who lives far away and who supports her through sponsorship. These children have many opportunities. They are getting the chance to draw, to study, and to go to school. But you know, you have seen it. There are so many children who do not have that opportunity.
We try to provide a safe space for all children here. Our mission with ActionAid, and also my personal mission, is to leave no child behind. Every day we go door to door to see if there are children who need our support, who need us. It is unacceptable that children work in those places you've seen. They work in factories like machines just for food. It is our responsibility to give them a life, a good and happy life.
I don't know how many people are watching this video, but they must believe that with sponsorship, they can change the lives of these children. Sanjita is right. Sponsorship can really change a life. Not only do they receive material support, but also an invaluable treasure, the certainty of being loved and valued.
And at this point, the most important question of this mission is for them. What is happiness?
Singing, traveling, S4 drawing, playing football,
Chatting with my mother.
putting on makeup,
Playing with balloons.
Driving in a car.
playing with dolls,
Playing cricket.
Toys.
planting trees,
Singing songs.
coloring S4 pizza.
This is how happiness should be for a child. Simple, carefree. Unfortunately, on this journey, we have seen that it is not like this for everyone. In the end, we cannot delude ourselves into thinking we can change the system these children are victims of. But all of us, even if far away, can do so much for them and for many other children who are victims of the same injustices. In India, Cambodia, Vietnam, we can sponsor them from afar and protect their right to healthcare, education, food, and play, but most importantly, we can give them back their childhood because no child should be denied it, and none of them should be forbidden from dreaming. Change their life forever, and yours too.